All right, the Bucks. It is the weekend preview. It is talking Buccaneers. It is the start of the business end of the DStv Premiership, and it is the biggest one of the remaining games, and it comes before the international break. And let's get stuck in it. The mighty Bucks are playing possibly their biggest game of the season in this time, and to put it like the coach did, the coach said in his press conference that it's the moment of the season that will determine where we are in the end. And I think that's exactly what it is. It's literally like that. I think unlike the other games and other times where we've maybe played before Supersport United, you almost played and hoped you got a result and then sat on your phone hoping to see how they played. Hoping that another team would have done the job on your behalf, right, to reduce that point gap. But in this case, the job is upon us. Supersport can lose and we can win at the same time, or any other way. But I mean, that's the hope. The hope is that we get the 3 points against them and close that gap to 2 points. For anyone who doesn't know, the context is that we are vying for that second spot in the CAF Champions League, for the CAF Champions League in the DStv Premiership, right? We are competing against Supersport United for that second spot after Mamelodi Sundowns for the teams that are going to play in the CAF Champions League next season. 5-point difference between us and them. Coming up against a very experienced coach in Kevin Hunt. He sets up his teams very well, very organized defensively. He's got the likes of Thulani Hlatshwayo, whom he trusts, and for years he's worked with him. So some of these players will know just how he wants to set up, how he wants to play. Very defensively organized, very direct. They play a lot on transitions, hope to get those transitions. Also very good in the box. So also we've got very good attacking players. Not least of which is Lepasa, who's an Orlando Pirates player under contract, out on loan, playing for Supersport United, our rival. And maybe actually let me get to that point, because I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of Buccaneers. And some of the conversations were, why would Pirates loan out Lepasa to a team that is competing with us on the log? Why would you loan out an asset to that team? And now we've sort of enriched Supersport United with our own player, and now he's almost like to our detriment because he's scoring the goals for them and they are higher than us on the log. And I mean, at face value, that seems like such a compelling argument, right? But I think when you look back at the time when we loaned out Zakhele Lepasa, it was a time when I think Richards Bay would have been second. I think we would have been ahead of Supersport on the log. I stand to be corrected on that for all of you geeks who keep all of this information in your head. But I think at the time, Richards Bay was ahead of us. And it was, I think, the only team that was ahead of us. I stand to be corrected on that. Maybe even the other team from Soweto that wears gold from Pefeni, the other small team from Soweto. Apart from Morocco Swallows. So I think those were the two teams that were ahead of us. And so, I mean, Pirates, if we think about it, wouldn't have stood in his way. It's obvious that he was down the pecking order in the striking positions. I personally don't think he should have been down the pecking order, but I understand players, especially at his age, 25, 26, getting to that time where he should at least be his career should be kicking off. He's no longer a youngster at Orlando Pirates. He's someone who's expected to perform. I think he also has personal aspirations. I've listened to some of his interviews, and even getting called up to the national team. I think it's done good for Zakhele Lepasa's career that he went out on loan. I mean, got the number 10 jersey down there, scoring goals for them. So I'm happy for him in a personal regard, but I also do understand the mutual decision to send him out on loan at Supersport United. I think Pirates wouldn't have stood in his way to go and get some minutes and play there. Instead of sit on the bench. I mean, he was obviously the deputy for Erasmus at Pirates. I mean, you still had people like Chukamanja You've still got guys like Evidence Mahopa, but those are some of the players that he was ahead of. But I think Pirates at times have played midfielders in that position. I think there was a time, I remember a game against Sundowns where we lost 2-0 at Loftus not so long ago. I think it might have been January or just end of December. We were playing with Pule as a false nine, and Erasmus sort of in that left channel, and Saleng on the right. So I mean, I do understand him going out on loan, but if I'm to waver a little bit, what my concern is with loaning him out is what you then go and do in your negotiations, in your contract negotiations as Orlando Pirates. Is that in your loan negotiations, I beg your pardon, with Supersport United, you go and you negotiate a clause that restricts him from playing against his parent club. So meaning that if we come against Supersport, then he doesn't play. Because I think the worst scenario, and I can already see it, is that Lepasa comes to Orlando Stadium and he wins the points for Supersport United. That will be an absolute nightmare for me, and I know for a lot of you guys. So I think as Pirates, you go and you negotiate a clause that he doesn't play against his parent club. Listening to the press conference again, Mayela and the head coach speaking, is that I think they said some things that allude to the fact that Pirates don't have that clause in his contract. I think they're thinking about how they can possibly try and nullify him. But I think it's almost written in the stars with these sort of things that, you know, this player that you loaned out who has access to access to what we need. Like we were someone that was almost like excess in our squad. He goes to a club and he goes and he gets them that second spot. And in doing that, throughout that journey, part of that journey is he destroys his parent club. That will be such a horrible sight for me to see on Saturday when we play against Supersport at Orlando Stadium. But I mean, we'll see how that goes. Thinking about who plays in this game, the coach said something which I thought was also, something that I was thinking about, in that in our last game, you know, Nedbank Cup versus Venda Football Academy, good game of football for me to watch for reasons that I know a lot of people don't agree with. But I think people really underestimated Venda Football Academy, but they came and they put on a display. And I thought we did well to win it in the end. We kept our heads except for a silly mistake that led to their goal. But however, I do think that we were always the bigger team, as we should have been. But we know how that competition goes. There's always that story, right, of David killing Goliath. And I'm so glad that that wasn't the case. We're drawn against another David in Dondol Stars, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we're playing against Dondol Stars, who've knocked out Supersport United, and before that, Amazulu. And now it's almost written in the stars again that they'll knock out Pirates, right? But premature conversation. Our players played 120 minutes, 6 of them, Sipho Shaine, Paseka Mako, Tapelo Toki, Nkosinathi Sibisi, Miguel Tim, and Teminkosi Lodge. So, I mean, this listening to the coach, he was also saying that some of those players will need to have their workload managed, because those are a lot of minutes to play for these football players. Very fit football players. I mean, this day and age, apparently the sports science is very good as compared to back in the day. But I still do think that playing 120 minutes is a risk, especially if you think about people like Lodge, who returned from injury, Tim Oki as well. But yeah, so that's got me thinking about, okay, so who starts? Very excited to hear the coach also say that Jukamanja and Kemet Erasmus fully available, fully fit, and in training, firing to play against Supersport United. Because I'd already been starting to think about, okay, so who's going to play as a striker? Are we going to play midfield? Are we going to play with Evidence Mahopa? Is this a chance to see Maru start a game and see how he gets on in that number 9? But yeah, good to hear that Jugamanja will be there. Good to hear that Erasmus will be there, because I do think they are the best strikers that we have at the club. And I say that with an asterisk on Maru because we haven't seen nearly enough to make that call. And I think he's still someone who's still young in age and can grow. But yeah, I hope to see him soon, I suppose. But I think in this game, I'd rather start with Chukwamanja and Erasmus, tried and tested. This is a big game that we need to win. I think the other big dilemma, which is something that I think the starting 11 hinges on. So the first thing I'll say is that I think Innocent Maela will be back at that left. Well, it depends. It depends on the next thing that I'm going to say, which I think it hinges on, if you bear with me just for a second. But Innocent Maela will be back, I think. Even listening to how the press conferences went, you can almost pick up that he'll be part of that starting 11. You know what? I'm not mad at that. I'm not excited at that. I think he's a decent player, okay captain. I think he speaks okay enough in the media. Very experienced player also, so not mad at that. I think Innocent Maela, where he plays, I think hinges on this, what I'm about to say. It hinges on the fact that what does he do with Dion Otto? So after that mistake, after the mistake that Otto made against Venda Football Academy, and I think the coach would say, if this question were asked, that that's not something that's going to cost him his place in the starting 11, right? That's something that I think he would say publicly. But I do wonder if maybe he will give him a rest. In my previous video, I asked that maybe he should be set on the bench because I think the fans are starting to turn against him. And again, we're playing home. Hopefully the fans will not turn against him. I think it's good to see our club, solid and united and behind these players that play for us. But I do wonder if maybe they'll rest him because of that. I wonder if they will have picked it up. I think it was very loud, actually, the booing and the, requesting for Otto to not start and not play. But maybe for that reason, maybe he might not start him. Maybe even for the mistake, he might not start him. But in saying that, I think Otto will start. I think especially because I think Lodge will be rested after 120 minutes. Otto got pulled around 50-something minutes in that game. So I think for that reason that he didn't play the whole game, he's going to start this game again. Now is he going to start at wing back? Is he going to start as a left back? Another interesting thing, hearing the coach saying it officially, it's something that I already saw and picked up myself the last few games, maybe like 5 or 6 games, that we have officially changed from the shape that we used to play early on in the season. And the coach said that himself, that upon being asked about Thabiso Munyani, whether, the playing Marco at right back is an intentional thing because of maybe Munyani not being good enough or anything like that, or is it a tactical thing? And the coach did say that, we are playing a new shape. So he alluded to the fact that we are now playing a flat back 4 as Orlando Pirates. So I think for that reason, without getting too deep into the whole Marco and Munyani debate, I do think Marco is going to play again because of what he says, that Munyani is more of like a right wing back. So that says to me that he doesn't trust him yet defensively, but maybe I'm reading too much into it. What do you think? I think he doesn't trust him yet at right back in the shape of a flat back 4 at the back. So where you've got a left back who might go forward, but the shape is a 4. It's a flat 4. It's not the wing back that we used to play with 3 centre backs that are, are going to stay and be the cover when we get attacked in those, transitions of the opposite team. So I think he's going to play Marco again at right back, and I think he's going to play Maela at left back, and I think Otto is going to play left wing in this one. I think he doesn't trust Pule yet. I've seen enough to see that Pule is not first in the technical team's mind when that team sheet come out. I think he's fallen down the pecking order. I think it's a disgrace, honestly. I think also sometimes where he's played, I don't think Pule should mainly be played as a left wing. I think what the strength that we have as Pirates is that our front players are people that can play multiple positions, right? So I do think that Pule can offer a little bit centrally. I think he can offer definitely on the left. I think Saleng can offer centrally as well. So I think one of the things that we haven't used, I've seen it a little bit, but I think we haven't used it nearly as much as I think we could, right? It's the whole interchange of the positions where sometimes you've got Saleng coming from the left. You see it in moments in the game, but I think sometimes you can almost bamboozle the opposition like that, where Supersport right now will be planning for Saleng on that right wing, right? So you could start Saleng on the left, start Pula on the right. That's a different dimension. Start Lodge centrally or something like that. But I think nailed on, Saleng will play on the right. I think he's going to play Otto at left wing. So Saleng right wing, Otto is going to play at left wing. I think midfield he's not going to play Tim, because Tim is another player who played 120 minutes. So I don't think we're going to see Tim in this one. Ndlondlo got pulled. I think he's going to start, got enough rest. So that other midfield position, I mean, Munari has gone AWOL. I don't think it's his fault or anything like that. I mean, rumor has it that there's contractual disagreements between Pirates and Munari's representation. So whether we'll see Munari for the rest of the season, huge question mark. I don't know. Musele is another one who's also apparently handed in a transfer request. So the bodies that we do have in midfield, Ben Motswari running out of contract as well. Ndawaithetho Ndlondlo, Tim, and Makehleni Makaula. Good to see Fortune Makaringe. Question mark for me again, is Makaringe being brought back because now we've got players that it's almost likely that they're not going to play for the club again? Is that why we're seeing Makaringe again? You know, all of these questions, I mean, I don't have the answers to. We're not going to get these answers, but we can sit here and speculate. But it's almost concerning because it doesn't seem like things are going good. Like the planning, especially around the squad. And if you think about people like the people that I've said, Tim, Makaula, Makaringe, all I think in their 30s. Makaringa, I think, is 30 this year. Tim, 30 this year. Makaula, 34. Munari was already 33. Mutswari, I think, 33 as well. Ndlondlo is the only person, and Musele in that midfield who are in their 20s. So, I mean, the squad planning is almost concerning for me. But that's also another premature conversation. But I think he's going to play Makaula and Ndlondlo in midfield as almost the two holding midfielders. And in that midfield, I think they're going to have Dlamini ahead of them. So just to recount it again, left back, I think Maela is going to play left back, Marco right back, Oki and Sbisi, two centre back pairing, Shaina as the goalkeeper, two holding double pivot of Ndlondlo and Makehleni Makaula, Kabelo Dlamini as the 10 in front of them, Dion Otto at left wing, Monapule Saleng at right wing. And I think it's a coin toss for me at striker. I really do think that one is something that, I mean, lately we've seen that he's favoured Chukwamanja, and for good reason, because of his form. But yeah, Erasmus scored last game. Both walked off injured, so both didn't play too long. I think he might start with Chukwamanja, then bring on Erasmus, or the other way around. I'm also okay with that. I think both they contribute enough for me. Even Erasmus, who people I know have been bashing for the lack of goals, and obviously strikers are judged on goals, but I do think that he offers more, and his goal scoring hinges around how many people we get in and around the box, which is something we haven't done nearly enough, especially when we were playing the system of the the three centre backs and the wing backs. I thought we didn't get enough people around the box as compared to now. So yeah, I think that's the starting 11. I don't want to go on too long for this one. I hope that we win. This is a must win. The coach spoke about that we've got 8 finals until the rest of the season. Because if you look at the log table, from position 2, I think, to position 10 or 11 or something like that. And these are all the teams that we're going to play against until that last game against Amazulu. These are teams that are within 10 points. I think within 10 points. All the opposition that we're going to play against are within 10 points of us. And then Supersport, obviously, 5 points ahead of us. So really tight fixtures coming up against teams that will be optimistic, playing for something, getting in that top 8, whether it be that or getting that second third position. Yeah, so big game this one. Starting just before international break, but because I always mark the international break as the March international break as after that it's the business end of the season. So for us, it starts now, the game before the international break. It starts with Supersport United, the biggest one of the lot. But even after that, we've got 8 more finals. Well, 7 more in the league. The 8th one, I'm counting Dondol Stars in the Nedbank Cup. If we win that one, potentially even 10, 11 games if we get to the final. So big games upcoming. Going to be playing once a week from here on out. Enough time to prepare, so no excuse. I think Pirates owes us that we at least get that second spot in the league to salvage the season. And I'm going to say this again and again and again. But see you after until Supersport plays, until we play Supersport. See you after that. Up the mighty Bucks. Cheers.